We're back reacting to another Courtney Ryan video. Today she's talking about women are finally realizing that dating is different for men.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Courtney Ryan, and today we're going to be reacting to a TikTok that I think really highlights some key differences that men and women experience in dating, and also just a realization that I think more people are coming to, which is refreshing, but also I think there are pros and cons to this that I want to talk about as well. We see these videos that go viral, and I think they fail to acknowledge the nuance and the fact that dating is not black and white.
Yeah, that's just kind of the nature of TikTok videos. They're short. They can't go into detail, so they're kind of ripe for the picking when it comes to reacting to stuff because they're never going to be able to go into too much detail.
And there are always pros and cons to pretty much everything. So let's get into it. Nothing more to say.
I think the dating imbalance in New York between men and women is so insane. Girls here are accomplished, yet still good looking and like keep themselves put together. I will never forget a conversation that I had at dinner with a couple of my guy friends that truly scarred me. Basically, my friend, who is a good looking guy, 28, great career on a great trajectory, hasn't made it yet, but probably since, is able to spend like 4K a month on his like solo apartment. So like definitely in a good spot financially.
No. Like, already, I don't know where this is going to go. They're probably going to give her a reality check, but you're spending 4K a month. Um, I mean, you better be. How much money do people make in these huge cities where they can drop 4K a month on a freaking apartment? Like, that's money that's just being set on fire. Like, I get it. You probably want to live close to your work and it's worth it. You need to pay for a place to live, but 4K a month? Oh my God. Like, if you were to live elsewhere and pay that much, you would have a mansion. Like, uh, just I don't know. I wish there was better living solutions for people in these big cities, because that's disgusting.
And he said to me, I have no pressure to date a girl right now. Like I'm purely going around for funsies because I know that me and knowing the career path that like I am on and that like I am going to like really make it in the next like 2 to 4 years, the caliber of girl, like why date some like mid 27-year-old right now when like in 2 years I will be able to get the hottest girl on the block who checks all of my boxes. And I've never been able to forget that because no girl is thinking that way.
That's because that's because women typically aren't in an upward life trajectory, right? Like, as much as women do that hypergamy, like they want somebody who's got more status and wealth than them. There just aren't that many people. That isn't realistic to today's society. People are broker than ever. So having that, especially with stuff like women dominating college attendance, right? Like colleges are accepting women, majority women are entering the workforce and out earning men all over the place. So searching for that, it's never going to happen. It's actually, you've actually crafted society bit by bit. When like society has crafted itself to adapt to where women will be making more than men in like they almost already are, but eventually they will be, because that's what we've been working towards. I mean, I don't think it's necessary. I wish things were how they were a long time ago, where one income could support a household. You know, that'd be phenomenal. But that's not anywhere close to the reality. So a lot of women, they kind of just expect that they're going to like hit it rich. They're going to hit the jackpot and just stumble into a relationship with a really wealthy man. No, no, no. Just like that guy was saying, right? He's just having fun. He is not searching for a relationship whatsoever. And why would he? Right? Like, he's for him to make it in the next few years means he's going to have to work his butt off in the next few years. He doesn't have time for a relationship, and he's going to get everything he wants out of women without having a relationship. Why would he sacrifice his time, money, and effort when he needs to do focus all that stuff on other stuff, on making it? So, yeah, these so many women just assume that everything's just going to be like amazing for them. They're going to find some mega rich guy. No, that's not going to happen. Most likely, you're going to end up with a man who makes less money than you do. That's the reality. And a lot of women, they just don't like really plan for the future. I mean, men do this too, but it's they don't realize that they should be setting themselves up to in the future be financially supporting a household. Otherwise, you might never have a household, right? Like people are getting married less and less as time has gone moved forward, and the marriages fail at such a high rate that the odds of you really like stumbling upon this like rich Prince Charming 10 out of 10 guy who's going to sweep you off your feet and buy you a huge house in the suburbs, it's nowhere close to reality.
Like I mentioned in my intro, there are definitely pros and cons to consider in terms of approaching dating this way or having this type of mindset. So I'll cover those too. But I want to make it very clear that I think men and women are both kind of doing this. It just looks a little bit different. She said at the end, women are not thinking this way. And I think they are thinking this way to an extent.
I agree with you completely. They absolutely are. Like I was just saying with hypergamy, they have the same mentality where it's like, oh, I'll mess around, I'll hook up with people right now, and later on I'll find that serious relationship. It's women do that all the time. Like you can't. With this woman who made this TikTok, what are you even talking about? Like women do that all the time.
But it just, again, it looks different because men and women tend to value very different things when looking for a relationship. Women now are deciding that they would rather be single than settle for someone who does not meet their standards. Whether those standards are realistic or not is a completely different story, but they are the individual standards nonetheless, and we can't necessarily change people. Men are not the only ones who are sort of.
Yeah, and men are the same way. Exactly what her friend described to her is men doing exactly that, right? So that guy, he's not going to lower his standards. So, yeah, it is what it is.
Of playing this waiting game and who are,
And it's especially advantageous for men to do that, right? Because men have to take on a huge amount of financial and like just so much more responsibility than women have to take in these relationships. So, I mean, it's smarter for men to be doing that than it is for women.
Telling themselves, oh, if I do this, I'll be able to get someone who's more attractive. If I do this, I'll be able to get someone who checks more of my boxes, or I'm not going to settle until I find someone who is this, this, and this. Men are not the only ones who are doing this. When people have more options, also, they tend to become more picky or selective with their choices, and people who think they have more options, which I think we're seeing a lot of. But I first want to talk about dating for men versus dating for women. It's no surprise, or really shouldn't be a surprise, that men and women often have vastly different dating experiences. I do think there are areas, though, where dating is more difficult than others, especially in major cities like New York, LA, Miami. I think dating is just way more competitive there, so that's definitely something to consider. But I also think this is happening in other places too. Women are more educated than ever before. They're more financially successful than ever before. And I definitely think the men that these women are going after reflect that. But an issue here is I don't necessarily think that a lot of these women understand that men are not looking for the same things that women are. Just because you're a high-earning woman looking for a high-earning man doesn't mean that the men that you're looking for want the same thing in a woman.
Yeah, definitely not. Like, I know a lot of men, and I know a lot of women, but probably more men. And we don't give a crap how much money you make. Trust me, I've dated people where they make a lot of money, where they make more money than I do, and I make a fair bit of money. And they're just as big of a piece of crap as the women who like make nothing and have nothing going on for themselves. Just as evil and selfish and horrible. Trust me, I've experienced it.
And I think this is leaving a lot of people single and frustrated.
And yeah, she's right. It leaves people single and frustrated. But the problem is whether a woman makes nothing or makes a lot of money. A woman who makes a lot of money will oftentimes have the same exact expectations as the woman who makes nothing. So it's like but with all these other senses of entitlement that are just awful to deal with in a relationship, just horrible. So personally, me, I would much rather a woman who makes very little money, but who is willing to like work on projects with me, work on things that will make us both money going forward, and maybe is willing to like sacrifice some of her time to pursue avenues that will eventually lead to like multiple sources of income, and is willing to like understands the value in that teamwork, in working as a unit, because you're always going to be more successful working as a team and having each other's back, as instead of being like two individuals, like two high earning individuals. It just becomes there's so much that sacrifice that is required in having any kind of successful career. And if both people are sacrificing a lot for their careers, then it just becomes this like crappy dynamic where oftentimes the woman doesn't understand that the man is also making sacrifices, usually more sacrifices than she is, and just doesn't appreciate it, and just doesn't has this expectation that the guy is somehow gonna behave just like the brokest guy on the block, where that guy who has no job, who can give her all the attention in the world, say when she's like not working, can just like feed into her like mindset and ego, and like just give her all of the attention and time possible. But if you're a guy who's high earning, you can't do that. And women just, for some, there's something wrong with them where they just can't understand that. Not all women, but like a lot of women, they just don't understand. And it's more prevalent in women who make a lot of money. For some reason, you'd think they would understand it better. They would just be like, oh, well, that makes sense. You have a career. It's important. Somehow they understand it less than women who have like never really worked very much and have never had like an actual career. For some reason, the women who have never had a career can be like, oh yeah, well yeah, that makes sense. Like go do your work thing.
And disappointed. A lot of men and women are looking for different things in a partner. There might be some overlap, of course, but there are also some major differences. And as I mentioned, I don't necessarily think women fully understand this and then get upset when the men that they want either don't want them or just don't feel pressured to settle down the way that they might. And again, as I mentioned, I think the issue for many women is that they're approaching dating as if men are looking for the exact same things that they are. But the newsflash is that they're not. As a woman, I think it's wonderful that women are educated and financially successful, but I think it's important to have other things going for you as well in terms of your character and your personality, and how you are as a partner versus just what looks good on paper or how successful you are. Your degree or how much money you make do not automatically make you a good partner, and those are not the top things that men are really looking for, especially the men that these women are going after. And I'm absolutely not saying you can't be a woman who's educated and successful and men won't want you because of those things. That's not true. I think those are really wonderful characteristics. It's great to be a woman of substance, but again, I think it's important to have other things going for you as well. I think a lot of women just don't fully get this because the top things that they're looking for in men are often financial stability, someone who can make them feel safe and secure, and someone who is just at their level or above. A lot of men spend their 20s kind of building their careers and making their life one that they would feel confident bringing a girl into. Men who are ambitious, who are driven, who take care of themselves, who have a good career that's going to allow them to provide, are more often than not more desirable in the dating market and therefore most likely to have more options in women to choose from. The same way that, beautiful, supportive, very feminine women have more options in men.
That's important what she just said right there. Supportive. Supportive is the key element here that a lot of people just don't even understand, right? Just like that, she's saying where the man is has been like building up to have like a family and a household, right? Has focused his whole 20s towards like getting to this point of being sustainable, being the breadwinner, being the primary provider. Women just don't get that, and they don't understand the value in supporting that. They don't understand what their role should be. And it goes both ways, right? If we're talking about like a high earning woman where you're both making a ton of money, then you should be supporting each other. But that is rarely the case. Like you rarely ever see that happening. It's usually where the man is supporting the woman's whatever she is. It doesn't even have to be successful or like high earning, where the man is super supportive and the woman just isn't supportive of the man. And it's bizarre because, especially if you're, that's why these women who are like really physically attractive and supportive and kind and caring are the top women. You don't have to be phenomenally attractive. Men are so attractive to women. Like I showed you the chart before, where like men are men are just very attracted to women, right? You can be well below average of a woman and get like a great guy for sure. Definitely. No question about it. I mean, you have to put effort into your looks, but easy peasy. But you can make yourself a top woman. You can get, all you have to do is be supportive. Be like, all right, I understand that you have to work a lot, so maybe I'll I won't like hound you about being not being home all the time because you have to work, right? Like work sucks. And so your partner who's working a lot, and this can go the other way, if your partner's working all the time, guess what? They don't want to be at work. They're at work only to support you. Them working and making money for the family is supporting you, supporting the kids, right? That's why they're doing it. That's why they're willing to sacrifice their time, their energy, their mental energy, their mental health, their physical health, everything. Their whole life is to support you. That's why they're going to work. They wouldn't go to work if they didn't get paid. No one on earth would go to work if work didn't pay them. Work sucks. I have a phenomenal job. I have a really cool job, right? I have a 1 in a million job. The amount of money I get paid compared to how easy my job is, it's crazy. Like, you'd be disgusted. If I made a video that just laid out how much I get paid and what I do for my job, you'd be like, you would want to vomit. You'd be like, that is crazy. How does that job even exist? Right? But it sucks. It still sucks. It's tons of fun. It's great. It's phenomenal. It's one of the best jobs you could ever have. But it sucks. I hate going there. Like, are you kidding me? You think I want to spend like almost half of the time that I'm awake? More than half, probably. More than half the time that I'm not sleeping in my life, going to a place and having to do labor. It blows. It's very fun sometimes, and it's great. And sometimes they give us pizza and stuff. They treat us damn good. But they're getting more out of me than what I'm getting out of them. And all I'm getting out of them is money, which supports my family. Yeah, it also supports myself, but it supports my family. And work goes towards supporting like all kinds of people, right? Like, it's a huge sacrifice to go to work even if you have a phenomenal job. So you have to be supportive of that. Or else you're just a garbage partner and you deserve to be alone.
And this really shouldn't be controversial to say. I'm not trying to be controversial by saying that. I think this is just the reality, whether we like it or not. So again, there's an element of these men not necessarily wanting these women in return, but also not wanting to settle down with one woman or not feeling pressure to settle down at all. I mean, for all the guys who are watching, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I also have to think that you might feel less pressure for the obvious reason that men don't have to worry about a sort of biological clock the way that women do. You know, if you're a woman who wants to start a family and have children, it's something that we have to think about. Although there are alternative options for this now, thanks to technology, it's still a valid concern for many women, and not every woman has the financial ability to freeze their eggs or do IVF in the future or something like that. You know, it sucks to say, but I think this is a real concern that women have to worry about far more than men do. And I'm not saying anything new or revolutionary here. I think these are things that we've been talking about for a while.
Oh yeah, you're dead right. Just like that guy was saying that he's 28 and he's not even looking for a relationship for years. Yeah, he's gonna be in his prime till he's like 50, unless he gets real fat, real bald, and goes broke. As long as like all three of those things don't happen, then guess what? He's in his absolute prime. He can get any woman he wants. within reason, not literally any woman, but any kind of woman he's looking for, he can get it easily.
And I've even done videos about all of this in the past, but I think if we really started to acknowledge the differences between what men and women are looking for, the differences in dating between men and women, dating would be a better experience for everyone. And I'll go over some of that later in the video.
A lot of women also seem to have a misunderstanding about their biological clock, right? You should really be having a kid in your like before you're 35. Like that is crucial. You need to get shit figured out. I'm sorry, it sucks. But if you want kids, you need to have them before you're 35. Or there is a huge increase in chances of complication where you might not make it through the birthing process. The baby might not make it. The baby might have all kinds of problems. Trust me, you absolutely need to like take it seriously. Women, I'm sorry, but like it's the reality. If you're hitting 25 soon, you need to start settling down. That's that is what it is. Now maybe you don't want kids and you can hey, you can play the field forever. You can ball out and party for the rest of your life. That's great. I encourage you to do that. If that's what you want to do it. But if you want that family, if you want kids in a house, you better start working. You better start saving up money. You better start um, really digging deep within yourself. Get all your stuff figured out. So you bring no baggage and you can be that great supportive partner that you must be for a relationship and for a family to survive.
And I also want to say this video from this creator is not the only video that I've seen like this. I saw another one from a guy that goes by Squid, I believe. I reacted to another one of his videos about why women date losers. But I wanted to react to a woman talking about it because I think it just offers a different perspective and shows that maybe there are some women out there who are starting to recognize that dating is just different for men and women, and that's okay. But the more you know, the better off you'll be. You know, in the video, she said that her guy friend said, "Why date some mid 27-year-old right now when in 2 years I'll be able to get the hottest girl on the block who checks all of my boxes?" Is this the most graceful thing to say? No, it is not. I mean, I applaud the honesty, I guess. I think for a lot of women that will sound really harsh, but I understand it from both perspectives, and I think
Yeah, no sympathy. You will get no sympathy from men on that ever. I'm sorry, but I've used dating apps. I've dated people. Like I recorded a video. I don't think I've uploaded it yet, but I've had women meet me face to face where I'm clearly, blatantly I'm over 6 foot, right? Like if somebody referred to me as being 6 foot, somebody would correct them and be like, yeah, he's a bit taller than that, right? And I've had women, right? Like it's obvious, it's blatantly obvious. And I feel like women have more of a sense of men's height than men do, right? Because they care so much. I've had women literally meet me in person, see that I'm taller than 6 foot, and ask me what my exact height is. What height are you? Isn't that weird? And then on dating apps, right? I've talked to women and they're like, how tall are you? I tell them how tall I am. And they're like, are you really that tall? Like, what do you mean am I really that tall? Are guys frequently lying to you about what height they are? Like you meet them and they're actually far shorter. That must happen. It must happen all the time. But that level of like shallowness um is ridiculous and men experience it all the time. So yeah, we don't care. We don't care if what we're saying is shallow and crude. It is what it is. Sorry.
think there are definitely pros and cons to thinking this way. You know, I understand why someone would think this. You know, on the surface, that sounds pretty logical. You know, the better you make yourself, the better you are. You would think the better partner you'll be able to attract. And while I think there's certainly an element of truth there, I think the more you develop emotionally, the more you heal yourself, the better you become as an individual, you're going to be able to find a partner who reflects that too. You know, really it boils down to the fact.
All right. I could not agree more. That's what you need to do, and that's what I'm getting at. That's why I said women, you need to like learn to be supportive. Same with men. And removing that baggage. That's what she's talking about, right? Like you need to do serious reflection, maybe even get therapy, talk to a counselor, have really deep conversations with a friend or family member. You need to find out what makes you tick and why. If you have trauma, you need to deal with that. Otherwise, you will always bring that to a relationship. Every negative trait you have, people in your life will realize what negative trait you have, and you can just ask them. You can have them lay it out to you. And maybe they're wrong. Maybe some people just hate you. Maybe some family members judge you really harshly and they'll say, you know what? I don't like these things about you. And maybe they're off base. Maybe they have that perception of you because of a certain bad interaction that you had, or they were in a mood and you said something and it pissed them off. And then they see that as like a big aspect of your personality when really it's not. But you should find somebody who can be brutally honest with you in a non-judgmental and hateful way. Get them to criticize you and be open to that criticism, and then change those things about yourself. Not saying change everything about yourself or be fake or learn how to hide those things. No, no, no. Because you will never be able to hide anything. Right? That's how you have to go into life. You have to be like, all right, if I'm going to change something, I need to really change it. I need to really dig deep and reflect. Take a really hard look at myself. Find out what's not the greatest thing about me, what is not, what should be improved, what needs to be improved, and then improve it. And you can work on a lot of that yourself. But the most work you can ever do on it is to continually talk about it, right? And maybe one day you talk about it to your mom. And maybe a few months later you talk about that same thing with a coworker. And then a few months later with a friend. But each time you talk to a different person, because time has passed and you've also been able to reflect, you need to be talking about it in a different way, because your perspective should be changing and advancing and growing. So the first person you talked to about it, you barely even had an understanding of what this negative attribute that you have is. But then the second time you've actually reflected and thought about it, so you know what you kind of want to hone in on, what can be changed and how to change it. And then the third person, it's just like you're picking up the scraps. You're getting that last little bit right out of yourself. And you got to grow and advance and remove that baggage that you bring to relationships. You have to, or else you'll fail every time. And it's hard. It takes years. Like by the time you're like, this is why I push the if you're about to hit 25 as a woman, you need to start settling down. I'm saying you need to do that prep work, preferably from the time you're 23 years old to 25. That is a key moment in your development as an adult. It is crucial, right? Because when you're like 18 to like 22, you're probably going to be mostly interested in enjoying the freedoms of being an adult. And like you're going to be learning about yourself, but you're not really going to be like fine tuning the little details. You're going to be learning and growing, but more in a general, broad sense, and finding your place in the world. Whereas once you kind of find that place, you can stop for a moment and grow and learn.
The fact that the people you choose to be with are a direct reflection of where you're at emotionally and your emotional development as a human being.
Oh yeah, who you surround yourself with is critical. I've talked about positive energy and positive vibes. That is so important. Are you kidding me? You can't be surrounding yourself with these friends, with anybody who is a negative influence on you. Maybe they're a relative, maybe they're whatever, but if they're bringing you down in any kind of way, if they're contributing to you being not the best you probably need to like lessen their involvement in your life.
But I also think,
and create room for more positive, bright people who actually want to like advance their lives and uplift the people around them. There's tons of those people out there. You just have to find them and be willing to uplift others as well yourself, because if you're just a positive, uplifting person who's like forward thinking, you will like a magnet attract those people to you. Like you probably meet, especially if you're in your freaking 20s, you're going to be meeting like hundreds of people throughout your 20s. And it's like a filter. It's like you're running a magnet over sand and you're pulling out those positive metallic people.
There are some cons to thinking this way because I think it also opens up this grass is always greener type of thing. And, when does it become enough, right? If you're constantly chasing more success, if you're constantly trying to do X, Y, and Z, and what you have is never enough, I think this way of thinking for some people can open up a bit of a darker path.
True, true. People definitely have that idea that grass is always greener. And that's so stupid. And I say people need to really think about what they want out of a relationship and if they're actually ready. If you're just looking to advance and like throw people to the side and cheat on people and treat people badly, do not be in a relationship. You're not ready for it. You're not ready to settle down. Don't even try because you're just going to harm people along the way. And especially if you have like a child. If you're having a child with somebody and you've treated them like dirt and you don't really care about them and you're not interested in anything long term, then my God, are you in for a lot of really crappy times?
Of never being satisfied with what you have and or choosing a partner based on exceptionally poor criteria, and things that just don't truly matter in the long run, like how hot someone is. I know that men value beauty in women, but that doesn't mean that that woman is going to be a good wife or good partner just because she's hot. And I know this guy said who checks all of my boxes too, so I don't know what his boxes look like. That could be someone who's loyal, who's supportive, who is kind. I don't know. We didn't hear that. All we heard was hot and checks the boxes. So I would obviously need more context there. But, anyways, back to the point. I understand why someone would think this way, but I don't also think that this necessarily applies to everyone. So that's an important distinction to make as well. Just because you wait a few years to see where you're at financially or career-wise, that doesn't automatically mean that you're going to get a better partner because of that, right? And again, like I said, I don't know if this is the healthiest approach either, just because the grass is not always greener. And again, friendly reminder that just because someone's hot doesn't mean that they're going to be a good partner. I'd say the same thing to women. Just because a guy's more attractive or just because a guy makes more money doesn't mean that he's going to be a better husband. So I think that's something important to remember too. If you advance in your career, you make more money, you make yourself more attractive, but you do no work intrinsically, I don't necessarily know if you're going to get a better partner because of that, right? So I think it's important to also focus on the things that truly make someone a good teammate, that make someone a good husband or a wife.
Exactly. She said it. She said what a word that I think is so important. Teammate, teamwork, working as a team. It's nothing is more important than that. You have to get through a lot of really hard times and overcome a lot of struggles together. If somebody has no idea what it is to be a part of a team, these are the first things you have to learn about somebody. It's critical. Is what kind of teams have they been in? Do they know how to function as a team? Or are they willing to learn how to function as a team if they don't know? Maybe they just have no clue. Are they willing to be flexible and open minded and change and become a part of the team? Because some people do just have it in them, they just haven't experienced being a part of a team. But nothing is more important than that. Nothing is. Right? I can think of times in the past where I've dated people and I've ignored red flags, right? So I'll just tell a story. May as well. I don't show my face. You don't know who I am. I dated somebody who made a lot of money. And they told me about their coworkers, their work experience in a few different, for a few different employers, different companies. And they didn't have one story of like getting along with people, working as a team, positive things about their coworkers and being a teammate, right? Never, never, never anything about training people. They literally said, it's not my job to train people. If somebody has that mindset, they're a selfish piece of crap and they don't understand what it means to be an employee and a part of a team. This person also had all kinds of conflict, like all the time, and started conflict with their coworkers. In like a job that pays a lot of money, they're starting conflict with coworkers. They're not only are they starting conflict, but they're keeping conflict going. They won't just drop it. They won't say, "Oh, this person said something that like upset me. I'm just going to keep creating more and more conflict and run this conflict into the dirt. Like, oh, I'm so clever. I'm really getting sticking it to them by continuing to be a jerk to them and finding new ways to be a jerk to them. Like, you're literally wasting your own time finding ways to be a bigger jerk to two people who, yeah, maybe they said something that like rubbed you the wrong way. So you're going to spend time where you could be like actually developing as a team, becoming a better team, getting closer as a team, or just being learning new things about your job and being better at your job. You decide to focus on this like extreme negativity. Like, oh my God, that's disgusting. That's horrible. You're a horrible person. Whereas if you actually were productive and just focused that time instead of on drama, getting better at your career, you would be in a way better standing. People would enjoy working with you. And that's very emblematic of how that person approached a relationship, and not just like a romantic relationship with me, but every relationship that they have with their family, with any friends that they've ever had. It's just this combative, negative, horrible, toxic, just sludge, just a pool of sludge. And it's you need to be the complete opposite of that. You need to be somebody who can like be flexible and understanding and courteous and forgiving, right? Because if you date a person like that, like I should have not have dated a person like that. And I saw the red flag, but I'd hoped that they would mature and advance and change, but they didn't. Those things ended up shining through eventually. And that level of combativeness and disrespect and lack of focusing on the negativity, dwelling on it, letting it grow. Instead of letting positive grow, they let negative grow again and again and again, which is the worst thing you could ever do for the team. You need to be a part of the team. You need to be pushing for the success of the team and doing your part. Even if for some reason temporarily you can't do your part for whatever reason, you need to still be supportive of the other people on the team advancing the team. You can't be doing things to drag them down, to bring the whole team down and distract that team from its goal. And even just two people in a relationship, you're still a team, and you can it's actually even easier to drag down a team because it's two people, right? These people, it is so easy for anybody to end up in a relationship with an absolute nag of a horrible, toxic, negative partner, abusive, who just drags them down, who brings them nothing but drama and conflict and misery. It is so easy. And people who seem like they're nice, people who seem like they're a professional, people who make a lot of money. Some people fall backwards into a successful career. Maybe it's nepotism, maybe it's affirmative action, maybe it's they just got lucky or they cheated their way through school and they're not bright at all. Who knows what it is, right? Maybe somebody just through randomness, random luck, or they lied on a resume. You've probably worked with people, whoever you are watching this, you've probably worked with people where they're one of the most incompetent, non-team oriented, negative, toxic people you've ever met in your life. I've had that at every workplace that I've worked at, multiple people being like that, right? And I've dated people like that. It sucks. So you need to understand that those people exist, and some of those attributes might exist in you, but you can change them. You can be better. I promise you.
And really dig deeper than just what is on the surface, because she could be the hottest woman in the world. But if she's not doing well in here or in here, well, you're probably going to have an issue on your hands. And this leads me into another point here of the fact that I think we've just been doing dating so incredibly wrong. There are a lot of women who continue to go after and only go after these men who have a ton of options, who are not loyal, who do not want to settle down, who put you in a situationship for however many years. And so instead of going after those men with a ton of options in women who you're actually not compatible with at all, clearly, because you want to settle down and he doesn't, just date a man who wants the same darn things as you.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh my God, exactly. Because I know so many great guys, right? Phenomenal guys. You know, I'll tell you, I got a coworker, attractive guy, recently single, real attractive. If let's say I'm a woman, right? Let's say magically I'm a woman. I would not date that guy, right? Now, if I was a woman and I was suddenly attracted to men, I'd maybe like spend a night with them, but then I would never talk to him again. Cause I mean, a great guy, I'm not, I'm assuming things about him. I don't even really know him that well, but he was in a long term relationship and he just got out of it and he's looking to have fun, you know, and I'm sure he's having lots of fun. Not somebody I would date. Not somebody I would date. Now, this is just getting weird. I'm gonna get out of this hypothetical. Uh, but there's tons of great guys who are phenomenal, and maybe they don't have one or two things that you really want. You really want a guy who makes like 300,000 a year. You don't need that. I know people who are dirt poor, not dirt poor, but people who are make very little money, who are in a financial nightmare, who are stuck paying tons, gigantic amounts of rent on a crappy apartment, and they've dug themselves into a giant financial hole, right? And they don't got they're crammed into a one bedroom with the full family, and they're like, how am I ever gonna like make anything of myself? And they're great, they're phenomenal, right? They're they're struggling right now, but they're positive, great people. So they're probably going to dig themselves out of that eventually. It'll be really hard, but they have it in them. And imagine if those people had more support and like good people around them, it'd be even easier, right?
Who share similar.
So like go out with somebody. Go out with somebody who isn't all that, right? Do you need everything? Do you need like absolute perfection? Cuz the end result of that, and this happens to men too. If you're a guy who wants a 10 and you're like fat, bald and like ugly and you have like no you've moved like across the country so you don't like have any friends or family in your life. You're just this like decrepit neckbeard. You're like that guy, that Roblox streamer. Um which I think that guy has a girlfriend, but so you're like a 1 out of 10 guy, you're not going to get a 10 out of 10 woman. You never will. If that's all you'll date, you will never be in a relationship in your life. And same with women. And why would you deprive yourself of that happiness? Right? Like you're better off showing a little generosity and dating below. And think about that. Genuinely think about that. It is so much more beneficial to date below, right? And men used to joke around about this a lot more where it's like, yeah, date a big girl cuz she's going to be really good in bed and really good at making food. That's what men want ultimately, more than they want an attractive woman. And so for women, you have to understand the value of doing the complete opposite. Or not the opposite, the same, right? Go with the guy who's not all that, who doesn't check every single box, who isn't like killing it in every possible aspect of life, because he's going to appreciate, trust me, he will be like he will be doing backflips of joy if he's with like an 8 out of 10, a 7 out of 10, like a hot chick, like who's got a bit going for herself. He will be like ecstatic and he will treat you phenomenally. Like he will treat you like a goddess, like the way you probably want to be treated. And like so appreciative and helpful and such a good teammate and father to any kids you end up having. Right? So like why would you not want to? It makes all the sense in the world. I would tell this to a man, a woman, whoever, to lower those standards just a little bit, just a tiny bit, and that person who's maybe a little lower than you were expecting certain things to be is going to be way more appreciative. Now, obviously, stuff like that can backfire. I know people who have dated men and women who are like 1 or 2 out of 10, like just garbage. Like, not I hate saying that people are garbage, right? maybe there's good things about that, but where they dated down, like way down, and treated that partner who they dated phenomenally, and it still didn't work out. That person wasn't appreciative at all. That happens fairly frequently too. Um, so as much as that is the advice I'm giving, also you need to be incredibly careful and make sure that that person is going to be appreciative of that, and make sure they're going to be appreciative of that long term. And I feel like guys way more often are going to be more appreciative of that, of you dating down to them.
Similar values and life goals. Because again, just because a man is more attractive and more successful does not mean that he's going to be a good husband. There are a lot of men who fall under those categories that are not good husband material.
And that's kind of what I was saying, right? There definitely will be that, right? I know tons of people where, like I said, I have a job where I make a lot of money, right? And I had to earn it. I had to work my butt off to get to where I am. Other people didn't. Other people got handed it, or they fell backwards into it just randomly. The place was hiring and they had lower standards, and those people got in at the right time. Or maybe they lied on a resume. Maybe they did this, some kind of sneaky way to get in. And some of those people are great, right? Some of these people who fell backwards into it, phenomenal. Some of those people got in through pure nepotism, end up being great, right? Some kind of like strong work ethic was passed on to them, or they naturally have it in themselves. But some people are who fell into a great career, they just don't have it. They just don't have that aspect to them. They don't understand teamwork and hard work, and they're just terrible to work with. So you can have that where somebody can be successful. They can have this great career, make tons of money, but they're just an asshole, right? No one at their workplace enjoys working with them. They're not a good teammate. They drag down the team. They create drama. They're the problem. And that will translate over. But a lot of times it's the complete opposite. A lot of the times that people are successful, especially if they made it themselves, right? Like if they themselves worked to get to where they are, they through hard work and determination made it to where they are. Now this won't be all the time. I know people who work their butt off, right? Like I can think of one guy, incredibly hard worker, worked in a similar industry, brings everything that you could want on paper to a workplace. Like definitely the right call. They hired him, but this guy doesn't understand teamwork. He doesn't know how to function as a team. He there's just something he doesn't get about like interpersonal relationships and like professionalism in a workplace. I like working with him because I can adapt to that. I can exist. My greatness at being a teammate makes up for his inability to be a teammate. He is like this dark energy and I'm a light energy. And my light energy overpowers his dark energy. Like if anything, I calm people down that he frustrates, right? And I calm him down. I stamp out his negative energy, right? So you'll encounter that same thing. But there are guys, right? And it's really hard to, I wish there was a better way to like gauge it. With me, I think the way you would gauge it would be to listen to what I do, the things I've done in my life. Like listen to my video. Most importantly, the video I did on Halo Reach and how why Halo Reach is a crappy multiplayer experience online. Most of that is because it's a slow paced, it's not the fast paced teamwork oriented game that it used to be. Like it just isn't. It didn't have that online competitive community that it used to have. It just didn't, right? So with me, I mean, look at the video games that I like and why I like them. Now that's complex. I like a lot of like single player RPGs, but I also like a lot of multiplayer games, right? And I guess I maybe that's not the best example, but there's ways to determine that I am a great teammate, right? If you were to talk to me personally or be in my personal life, you would realize that I'm a good guy, that I like helping out others. I like not only helping out others in a really obvious, direct way of being charitable and generous, but also just helping people, being willing to give them advice, being willing to talk to them open mindedly about anything, and to open up myself and tell deep things about myself that aren't necessarily easy to even talk about, but I'm willing to talk about them. I'm willing to do what I can to help people. That's what I freaking love doing. And I also love teaching people how to be efficient, how I got to where I am, and how they might be able to get to where they want to go, right? So it's tricky because there's people like me who my success in terms of like career translates directly over to my success as a very good partner and person to have in your life. But there's people who didn't use those skills, have never developed those skills, but still ended up making a lot of money and having a like successful career, if that's what you want to call it. And I mean, anybody who's worked anywhere, you know that some people get promotions who should not be getting promotions. Like they have a not one real ability to manage anybody or anything, and they just um, kissed a lot of butt or for some other dumb reason got a promotion they never deserved.
Now, there are some that are. There are really wonderful men out there who are successful, who are handsome, who are able to be in committed relationships and see the long term vision and want to settle down and have a family and all the wonderful things. But that's not all of them. And men, instead of only dating women for their youth or their beauty, which are fleeting attributes anyways, make sure you also consider the intrinsic qualities that make someone a good partner. And I completely know and understand that there's a biological element here of, wanting to be with someone attractive. You should find your partner attractive. I'm not saying that you should just date people who you find unattractive. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying instead of wasting so much time or trying to change someone into what you want them to be, just go for people who want the same things that you do. It's going to work out better for you.
There's ways to make yourself attractive. Like I just made a whole video about how to ask out your crush in 2024. And a lot of that is like, how do you make yourself attractive to your crush so when you do ask them out, it's going to go well? But there's lots of other things I didn't touch on. Physically, start dieting. I'm not saying go on a diet, but change your diet, consume less, lose some weight, dress a little bit better. Don't dress way better, but a little bit, maybe clean up your act a little bit, clean your house, clean your vehicle, and maybe work out a tiny bit. A common practice amongst men, you might not know this, men, but a common practice is to do a couple push-ups before you like meet up with a woman, because engaging those arm muscles, it's going to make your arms look like way more appealing, even if you just do like a quick workout like earlier in the day. Huge difference, shockingly huge difference. And if you actually want to actually like work out, you can. Like women love dad bods. They love all kinds of stuff. They're attracted to all kinds of stuff. You can like come up with which a dad bod would mean like you only work out your arms. Like you could have a gut and you still are like pretty, you're still going to be attractive because women like, they like arms and shoulders and hands more than anything. They don't care if you have a big gut. Just like you don't care, maybe you're into butts and you don't care if a woman's got not much chest action going on, or maybe you're into a big chest and you don't care if the butt's a disaster, or you don't care, maybe you like a pretty face more than anything, right? There's all kinds of stuff, right? Like for me, right, I'm a chest guy. Don't know what it is. I face a lot of judgment for it, but I am a booby guy for sure. I like them. I don't. Hey, it is what it is, right? Um, but hey, I don't. It's not like a requirement. I'm still plenty attractive to like I just watched the movie Super. All right, I don't know how. All right, I Ellen Page's character is 22. She's looking hot. She's looking hot in that movie, right? Like, you know what I mean? Really cool movie. I recommend it actually. It's not phenomenal, but it's a good movie. But, you know, like Ellen Page physically is a long ways away from like my ideal woman. She is. But, you know, if I could time travel, her in that costume, oh yeah. Oh yeah. And like her face in that movie. There's a reason that the camera mostly focuses on her face. Super gorgeous face. Holy crap. You know what I mean?
There are men out there who are attractive, who are financially stable, that are actually going to be a good partner. And maybe it's not necessarily the men who are out here saying, why date some mid 27-year-old when in a few years I can get the hottest girl on the block?
And the thing about attractive men and women is there's gonna be a level of off-puttingness where they've always gotten things easy. They've never had to struggle in certain aspects. People have just naturally like gravitated towards them because they're attractive. Just a lot of things in their life have come a lot easier because of them just being attractive. It just is what it is, right? Um, it's uncommon, right? Well, who you're looking right now at the screen, Courtney Ryan, very attractive, very smart. She actually like cares enough to think about these things, think about how to be a better partner, think about how other people could be better partners, what other people are doing right and wrong, what she's doing right and wrong. That's going to be incredibly uncommon that you encounter somebody who actually like cares about those things and reflects on those things and grows and develops and becomes a better person and a better partner. That's insanely rare. But there are people like it, right? But a lot of people who are really attractive, they've never had to do that. They've never had to think about all these things or develop much of a personality because people are going to gravitate towards them regardless of whether they're interesting or funny or smart. So that does kind of come into play where maybe you don't even really want somebody who's just physically attractive, right? Like that's one element of attraction. And a lot of people who have it, they have like none of the other elements.
You know, that might work out for some girl in the future, but it's clearly not working out for you if he doesn't want to date a mid 27-year-old and wants to wait a few years to get the hottest girl on the block. You know, you are allowed to approach dating however you want to. That's your problem to deal with, not mine. But I think a key question to ask yourself if you're someone who is struggling with dating is, are you prioritizing the things that matter for a healthy relationship? If you're not, part of your problem is probably you. And also, another point of this video is that you have to be someone that the person you want to be with would want to be with too. I've said this so many times. And as I said earlier, men and women are often looking for different things. If you're a man watching, do you know what women are looking for?
Most no, like guaranteed a huge. Maybe who are watching you, right? Because you actually lay it out. You lay out what women are looking for, but most men, oh my God, no, they have no clue. They're out in outer space in terms of what they think women want. They think women want this like all that in a bag of potato chips, but they don't. Deep down, they don't. Deep down, they're a lot more flexible and opening and accepting than they realize. It's just the ones that aren't that way are very vocal and have the biggest microphone and um, spread that kind of viewpoint around. And women are often celebrated for like having that kind of viewpoint, even though it's like overly harsh and often like leads to loneliness and unhappiness. Whereas men are more told like, hey, you need to have realistic expectations here. Your standards are way too high, and they're more. It's kept real with men more often. So, yeah,
You will if you watch my channel, because I'm telling you. You know, if you're a woman watching, do you know what men are looking for?
no, 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 no. Again, women. I think women who watch her channel, probably about 60% of them do know what men want, or they're like starting to know. I do think it's harder for women to like learn this. I don't know why. Um, but I feel like I maybe that's harsh. Maybe that's not true. But I've dated a lot of women. I know a lot of people. I've heard about a lot of relationships. I've seen people in a lot of relationships. Women have no idea what men want. Like they for some reason they don't focus on the key aspects that I talked about in this video, which is teamwork, which is being caring and understanding and supportive. Nothing is more important than that. Nothing will ever be more important than that. Guys don't care if you can't cook or can't properly like do this that, or if your job pays very little. We don't care. You can learn those things. Everything's on YouTube. Come on, like who cares? I would eat a million of the crappiest meals ever to just have a woman who's just like honest and supportive and straightforward and like just flat out supportive. Just be supportive. Just be like, all right, I understand that like this is hard for you, and hey, like it's okay. Just instead of being like, oh, you need to be doing this, this, and that, and blah blah blah. Like you do, you know, just be a teammate. Just help carry the team, carry your
Do
weight.
you understand that men and women are looking for different things?
And another key issue here, right? Like I was talking about, where I know plenty of these phenomenal men. Women, I know enough about women that I can confidently say, women, you would be so much happier in a relationship with a guy who is just slightly below whatever random arbitrary criteria you have. Same with men. If they dated that slightly less attractive woman, or slightly a woman dates a slightly less attractive man, you are going to be incredibly happy. There are guys out there who maybe they don't have these few things, these like two or three small things. Like maybe they don't make a ton of giant amount of money, or maybe this or that. But every other aspect about them is incredible. They're incredibly interesting and smart and funny and cool, and they they're hardworking. They understand the value of teamwork and friendship and family. These just phenomenal guys, just outrageously great guys. They're right there. They're all over the place. They're ready to go. They're ready to jump in a serious relationship with a supportive woman. They just want a little bit of that in return, and don't like sacrifice all of that. It's like the most important aspects of relationships, I say, are honesty, most important thing. Then second, it's cooperation slash teamwork slash being supportive, right? That so it's honesty, being supportive, and then like and then it's like attraction slash chemistry, right? Like you need that attraction. You need to be like, there needs to be some kind of like flare, some kind of spark, some kind of feeling that does need to be there. But you can create that, find ways to create that in people where it maybe didn't exist. Because I can tell you for a fact, I will, if I had that, if I was dating somebody where there was no spark, I didn't find them interesting, they're not all that attractive. If they're very honest and loyal and respectful and hardworking and a good teammate and they're supportive, that alone will make me so attracted to them. Oh my god. I will like the spark will ignite. It will. It apps the flame will ignite and burn brighter than like probably any relationship I've ever been in. Just having that like reasonableness. I guarantee you, not only like now I actually like break this stuff down and analyze it beat by beat, detail by detail. Think about, I've thought my whole life about what I truly want out of life and all the very tiny details of life. But so maybe I'm a little bit more open-minded and accepting to this kind of thing, but I guarantee it would be that same way with a lot of people, where having that, if you start dating somebody where they are like 95% everything you could ever want, maybe there isn't that spark yet. If you just date them, that spark is going to be there. You're going to be like, wow. Like, eventually something is going to happen that is going to make you attracted to them. It would have to, right? Because I think about the times where I've become attracted to somebody, right? There's times where I've been repulsed by somebody, but over time, I've like saw more to them, more about them, or they like sort of changed their ways, or maybe they left a bad first impression and really they're phenomenal. And I mean, it'll happen. That spark will ignite. You got to put yourself out there though. And why would you not at least try to have that spark ignite with somebody who's got like 95% of what a great partner needs to have, instead of like, oh, this person's attractive, I want to hook up with them, and they have like 10% of what I want out of a good long-term partner. I'm going to give them a chance. Doesn't make sense.
Just because you are a high earning woman does not automatically mean the men you are going after are looking for that in a woman too. To wrap this video up, I think if you want to have success with dating, it's important to acknowledge the fundamental differences between men and women and the way that we experience dating altogether. We have seen so many significant changes in the dynamics between men and women that I believe we're going to start to see some shifts happen in dating this year in 2024, but also going forward.
I I agree in that beautiful eyes, by the way. I completely agree because things are changing. Women are out earning men, and I mean I dated a woman who out earns me for the first time ever, and huge mistake. Like, she was awful. She was one of the most selfish people I've ever dated. She just is flat out the most selfish person I've ever dated. Um, and so, yeah, men don't care about that because a lot of times that's what men will find if they date women are who are like that.
And maybe I can make a video about my dating predictions if you guys want to see it, because I have many thoughts here, but I just think we're seeing so many shifts with dating and with men and with women and the dynamics between us both. I think the way people date and dating altogether is going to change. I think there are going to be some major changes, some positive and some negative, but changes nonetheless. And I also don't think what we're doing now really is working that well. So let me know your dating predictions down below. If you want to see a video from me about that, I would be happy to do it. But anyway, I just wanted to share this video because it was interesting to hear a woman's perspective after talking to her guy friends about this. But I do think this is something that men and women are both doing, even though it looks different, like I said in the beginning. And again, there are pros and cons to approaching dating this way. But the more you know. So if you like this video or found it helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to be in the loop for when I release new content.
I think what could happen, maybe not this year, but in the next couple of years, people start to realize that women are out earning men, and women finally take their place as like primary breadwinners. They kind of already are, but soon will come the responsibility of that, which includes like, hey, you're going to have to pay for the first date. You're going to have to start carrying your weight in the relationship. This isn't one-sided. This isn't, I just like feed your ego and you treat me like dirt. Nope. That will no longer be, that'll start being incredibly socially unacceptable in a way that it has been socially acceptable for decades. Yeah, that's what I think. My prediction. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. We'll see.